Happy Friday. So, every now and then I clean out the containers and tops that I use for my paints because after about 3 or 4 dolls with air dry paint, sometimes that paint gets a little flaky, and then those little flakes can get into the paint that you put on the babies, and you don't want your paints to be dirty. So I make sure that I clean my paints containers out every now and then and do a fresh batch of paint. But I want to say that my paint usually lasts me about, with the tops on them, if I keep it, tightly protected, my paint usually lasts me about 3 months. And then I usually switch out and do new paints. So I am mixing paints tonight. So I put a little bit of paint in the container. And this is some green, different color greens that I'm going to mix up. And then I'm going to water this down. And sometimes before I add the distilled water to the paint mixture, I flatten this out a little bit and get it mixed so that once I add the water, it's already helping me with thinning it out. So I do this, and then I add a little bit of water, a little bit of distilled water, and I mix. And you don't want your paints really thin, but you also don't want them super thick. And with the amount of paint that I have in here, believe it or not, with golden paints, a little bit of paint goes a long way. So, you want your paints to be not super thin, but again, not super thick. And you have to mix and know what the consistency is that you're comfortable working with and painting with. I've kind of been doing this for, like I said before, since 2023. So you kind of get used to, like, I don't have no recipe, 3 drops of this, 2 drops of that. But you kind of get used to what works, and it just becomes a natural thing of, oh, this is just enough water, or oh my God, this is too much water, yada yada. And for the cost of these babies, if you make a mistake, it's worth redoing it. I never look at it like, oh, I'm losing my products because I have to start over. If I have to start over, I have to start over. Because these kits are limited edition kits a lot of times. And I can't afford to. All right, so I got some green. This is some blue. So now I'm going to mix some blue. And a lot of times I have a little bit of paper towel to the side. Tear a little bit of paper towel off. Put the little paper towel down to the side and wipe my paintbrush off. And then I go to the next color. So now I'm going to mix this blue and this is the blue that I use for my veining. So I just put a little dollop of blue in there. Put the top on. And let me say something about blue. Blue, green, red. Some of these colors are so potent that you don't need a whole bunch of it anyway, because it's a lot. It goes a long way. So I'm gonna mix that up. I didn't thin that out, so I'm gonna have to be really, really intentional about mixing this, and so that I don't have big globs of paint floating around in the water. So I'm gonna take my time and mix this. And if you feel like your water is too thin, you can always add a little bit more paint to thicken it up, and it'll thicken right up. But a lot of times this is more, you know, this little bit of water is just enough to thin it out enough that when you put it on your paintbrush, it does what it needs to do. So this is my vein color, and by thinning it out, the paint is not as dark. It gets kind of light once you thin this out, lightens it up, and then you're not using like a whole bunch of this. Not this blue. You go, it's better to do less and then build up more over time on your veins. Don't start off like real rich blue. Start off a little bit of blue, lighten it up, and then, you know, you can add more and more with your layers if you need to. But blue is a very vibrant color, and you want to use as less of it as possible because it shows up really good and through several layers of paint. So you want to, you know, you don't want to go in too much with blue. But anyway, I'm going to leave that. And as you can see, with just that little bit of blue, look at how vibrant that is. So you want to make sure, you know, when you do your paintbrush, you put that brush in there, but you want to brush that brush off on the side, or, you know, sometimes you rub your paintbrushes off on a piece of paper or something, or a paper towel, so that you don't get full strength. You don't want to mess up and go full strength, and then that's not fitting how I want it. Let's see this paint. Yeah, I think this fits better. I don't like how this is fitting either. I'll figure out a top for this soon, but we're gonna put this down anyway. All right, so I got green and blue. Green, I kind of use it for some undertoning, but I don't do it all over the baby anymore. I did have a baby that I did it all over, and I was able to work with it, but that wasn't my favorite experience with that. So I do it in a little bit of places because it gives the appearance of veining moving under the skin. Well, I think it does. But anyway, in addition to the veins. All right, so this is purple. I definitely use purple for my modeling color. All right, so we got purple here. I think I'm gonna have to get some more purple after this time. So I'm mixing this purple up. And my battery is low. So hold tight, you guys. Hold tight, because my battery is low.